welcome to Passion Podcast with Vincent and Kiran. Today we're joined by Kiran, who is a fellow traveler and um, he's just one of the best people I've ever met through social media. Who was born in India and moved over to Canada. And feel free to introduce yourself.
Hello, guys. This is Kiran Bose from Canada. Currently residing in Canada. I was born in India, like Jake mentioned. I just completed my master's here in Canada in mechatronics, and I've moved on towards looking for a job and finding new things in life. I've taken some time to explore myself after my master's, and traveling is my passion. Traveling added to something called as positivity spreading. That is uh, that is the core of traveling, which I believe. Jake has been a great friend to me. Jake has been so nice to introduce me to so many of his followers through Instagram, and also today we have Vincent with us. So it's a great experience meeting new people through Jake. Extremely glad and privileged to be in this podcast. Hope we have a great time. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Oh, you said.
Exactly.
Oh wait, did you have a question? Because I just had a thought.
No, it's fine. Go for it.
Okay,
Go for it.
do you know how you said was it positivity spreading?
Yep, it is positivity spreading.
Yeah.
Yep.
So like, what do you mean by that? Because that's a huge kind of topic, and so like personally to you, what do you think? Yeah, that message means positivity spreading.
Yep, good question. Exactly what I wanted to explain during this podcast. So, positivity spreading, as you said, is a huge umbrella under which there are so many things. But the one that I'd like to focus when I talk about positivity spreading is how positivity is imbibed and etched into travel, and how important positivity is in today's life. For example, I've already talked to Jake about this. In today's world, in modern age, it's so easy to absorb negativities.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Negativities are available anywhere and everywhere in today's world. You could just go out and talk to people and buy some negativity.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
not the same case with
Definitely.
positivity. Positivity are like gems, are like diamonds.
Mm,
They're just available in certain places
yeah.
within certain people.
And they
So
shine as well. They stick out like a sore thumb.
yeah, they shine, and they stay. I mean, they just glow apart in the crowd. Positivity is something that is very rare to find, and I feel that travel is a good medium to spread positivity, because travel takes you places, travel helps you meet people, and travel expands your mind. So why not just spread the positivity that you get through travel? So that's
Yeah.
my
Definitely.
passion, and that's my explanation for positivity spreading, because it's just too rare nowadays, and it's nice to have people who spread positivity and keep them around you.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely. Like when you just mentioned then about traveling, even when you like go solo traveling, just like that can be amazing because you meet incredible people and you meet people with similar passions and interests and just this energy to conquer the world and just spread life.
Yeah.
Like from my experiences, I think it's so amazing. Like I remember when we first started speaking through social media, me and Kiran,
Yeah.
and you was I remember you was being a bit fearful of taking the first trip to Banff, and then you call me up, and then I give you some advice from what I've done, and then you went and done it, and I'm guessing you loved it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Jake at this moment, because as he said, I was totally nervous because I've never done a solo trip before I went to Banff.
Yeah.
It's like it's like you just never completed kindergarten and you just went straight to 12th grade.
Oh, it was
You've
like
Mm.
never
just diving
you've
straight
never
into the deep end.
yeah, you
Yeah,
just
going for it.
stepped into the wild life straight away. So
Yeah,
Banff, as you all know, Banff is just huge. Banff National Park is also one of the most dangerous because it has the wildest grizzly bears and a lot of other animals and locations wherein you wouldn't want to be alone. Um,
Yeah, for sure.
that kind of I read about that, kind of nervous when I read about that, and then yeah, I started following Jake well before that, so I got to know that Jake is a person who I can contact anytime, any day for some advice on how to travel and how to stay safe during a solo travel. So he was my first point of contact before the trip, and yeah, it went well. He gave me a lot of advice that I really used, and Banff was a blast. Banff was a success, and yep, solo traveling is something people should do for sure, at least once in life.
Definitely. I can't emphasize that any more than you just did. The best. Like, I don't know, tell me though how you obviously felt being in Banff, because it's not like solo traveling in a place like, I don't know, like Germany, where it's a city atmosphere. It's more rural, so there will be a lot more times alone, I'm guessing. How was that? How did it make you feel?
Yeah, that's a good place to compare with Europe. So Banff, when I compare to urban areas, the difference between urban areas and going solo in forests and natural landscapes is that uh, the thing with nature is that it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
Urban areas, you have people, you know what's going to happen, and you know what there is, what's in store. You actually know what's in store before you even go to the place.
Yeah.
The problem with Banff is that you have no clue how it's going to be, even if you read thousands of articles, thousands of vlogs you've seen, or any movies or documentaries you've seen about Banff. It's not going to help you to the maximum. You never know what's in store until you keep your foot inside Banff National Park. It's just a mystic place wherein you get unpredictable stuff every single minute. Whether animals, nature, uh, wildlife. I mean, wildlife and animals are the same, but I'd like to stress upon these few factors which keep on changing from minute to minute. These things which you have no control over. You can have control over buildings, you can have control over people, you can have control over so many other man-made stuff, but you can have no control over nature. You never know what's going
But
on.
I think there's a beauty in that. Definitely.
That's the beauty. The beauty lies in the uncertainty that happens in life. So
that's mad.
That's just beautiful to just just to imagine this place when I just keep describing, because Banff is just, or even more than what I told you in words. It couldn't be put in words. But that's the essence of solo traveling. Going to places that have some uncertainty in it. So that's solo traveling for me.
That makes so much sense, because it's like, because in cities and things, everything's controlled. It's kind of like, even in a house, the temperature's controlled. The windows only allow light in and keep as in, you're so shielded from kind of the outside elements. And when you go to like a national park like that, I'm guessing it would kind of be like a feeling of vulnerability.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd like to add on a point to that. Vulnerability is something that leads to the one thing that we need most in life: humility. Yeah. The moment you feel vulnerable is the moment humility starts entering your body. Banff, in one word, I can say that Banff made me feel so small in one sentence. It made me feel so small in this world, so as to an extent wherein you think that you're just a little speck in this universe. You've got no impact, you've got zero influence, you're just a little speck in this universe. When you start realizing that, you start building humility inside yourself. So that's Banff for me.
Wow. I mean, like, you don't mind me going into what made you actually take the trip, because I remember you was telling me some things last year which sounded a bit.
I'm open to I'm open to explain to you. You can tell me what exactly you'd like to ask, and I'm open to explaining stuff.
Yeah, it was more like what truly made you take the leap in actually finally taking that trip to Banff. What was that?
Yeah, I like to mention that a plan for a solo trip, not exactly Banff, but in general, going on a solo trip was always there in my mind ever since I lost my dad. I lost my dad 3 years ago, 2017. I lost him to lung cancer. and then it totally changed my life. It put my life upside down. It was depressing. I kind of lost hope on what to do after that, and that's when a lot of people helped me. Some of my friends, my seniors, my family, my mom and my sister. uh, these were very integral points in my, I mean, very integral people in my life, which actually lifted me up. And it's that moment wherein I thought that I should actually make a solo trip, because I knew that solo trips push you to the limits
Mm.
and actually help in finding yourself. So
Oh,
Definitely. I couldn't agree
that,
more.
yeah, that was a major turning point. And I definitely say the great leap of taking a solo trip started off when I lost my dad back 2 years ago. I mean, 2 years from when I made that solo trip. So 2017 is when I lost my dad, and 2019 was when I did my first solo.
oh. So it was like
Well,
exploring more of yourself, I guess. It was kind of like a self-discovery journey.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because when you have your family, when you have your close ones around you, you're in a really good cocoon.
Mm.
You
yeah,
have
like
your
a
own
good body.
stuff, you've got what you want, you've got everything that you need in life. But once you break out of that, when you start losing people and you break out of that, that's when you know who you really are, what your
Mm.
limits are, what your passion is, what's your goal in life. What really, I mean, there's even a saying that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's exactly what we go through when we do trips like that.
Oh,
definitely. I think it's like it's the biggest lesson to self development and growth. Like it's travel by far has to
for
be
sure.
from my experiences. You know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I've got no arguments with that. It's just perfectly said. Yeah. So, soul traveling expands who you are, expands your mindsets. Uh,
I actually read on a flight from Tromsø in northern Norway to Oslo, the
huh.
capital.
Yeah.
Yep.
I read on a flight that every time you travel, you become 33% more open minded, and I thought
Oh
it was
yes.
really
Wow.
interesting because it's true. You can imagine, like
Yeah.
on
That's so
average,
true.
you become 33% more open minded every time.
I feel that saying is so underrated because people usually look over it. They really don't take that seriously.
Yeah.
I
But
know,
it's so
I know.
true because you see all this new, all these different ways of life that you haven't been exposed to before. And it's like, yeah, just the whole thing is just, I guess it comes back to being humble and just wanting to learn.
Oh
And
yes. I mean,
Definitely.
uh, to be honest, to me, life is you don't take anything along with you when you were born. You don't take anything back when you die.
yeah,
So that's just a small gap in between. You got to make that meaningful,
yeah,
and
Mm.
meaningful in the sense to be nice to people, to do good to people, and not think too much about yourself. That's where the humility comes into play.
yeah.
So it's all part of that small gap you have between life and death. So
Oh,
uh,
Mm.
that's,
that's
that's
really,
that's what I've got.
oh, that's a
You
small gap.
leave me speechless, Kieran.
I mean, yeah, that's exactly what I have in mind, and that's what keeps running and keeps me going whenever I
Yeah.
travel.
Because if
Because
life's so short, you might as well make the most of
yeah,
it,
yeah,
right?
because it's very easy to give up on some hurdle when you, yeah, when you, I mean, when you face a hurdle when you're traveling, it's so easy to give up. For example, your car breaks down. For example, you lose your belongings.
Yeah,
These small things can actually bring a stop to your travel. But then when you start looking at the bigger picture, whereas, I mean, wherein you're actually traveling for your own uh, life in entire rather than for that moment. You're not traveling for that moment that day wherein you're just going to click some pictures and post it. You're actually doing the travel for keeping in mind your entire life. So
yeah,
when you start looking at the bigger picture, the hurdles become smaller,
yeah,
and it becomes much harder for the hurdles to stop you.
It's like an inner power, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because if
Basically, yeah,
you can get over this, then you can get over anything in a
yeah.
way,
Basically, it's there in your mind. So,
yeah.
all in the mind.
yep.
Yeah,
Wow.
and there's things that you think you'll never get over. There's like embarrassing stories that you think that you'll never um like overcome, but in the bigger picture, I mean, I told Jake on the podcast before this about me wearing my pants on a school trip, and I thought that was the end of my life. But in the bigger picture, it wasn't anything. It wasn't.
Yep.
Right now, it doesn't mean anything to me. It's just a funny story that I tell. But back then, it seemed so much bigger. But right now, after looking back, after living a few more years, after experiencing life for a little bit longer, it's yeah, those little problems that seem to be the end of the world are definitely just the beginning.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's true.
that
That's
was
true.
that was really cool. I can't believe I came up with that. But yeah,
No, it's good. I mean, honestly, Kiran, you just make me speechless every time. Like your mindset is just so it's powerful. It's like addictive. It's amazing. Like because
Thank you, Jake.
it seriously like I can't. I'm unable to express how amazing I think it is.
yeah,
Seriously, because think about it, like most people. I'm not sure what it's like in Canada, but I know that most people from my own experiences in like England and places, like I don't know, they just tend to have a more pessimistic view on life and think like that's all there is to it. But I don't know. You just show it so much more. I think like I know you sometimes say I inspire you, but you really inspire me.
yeah,
Oh my God. Thanks a lot, Jake. That's so amazing to know. I mean,
yeah.
I'm so privileged to be here.
I feel like
Yeah,
motivation is a two-way thing. Like I feel like if you motivate someone and they motivate you back, it can kind of like multiply the effects
Yep.
because you just keep on pushing each other. Like even me and Jake with this podcast, I would not be sitting in a room. I wouldn't have even started a podcast if it wasn't for like Jake telling me it was a good idea and me telling Jake that I was interested, and then just that snowball effect
it's like a
of
snowball, exactly.
yeah of
That's so true.
And
being
when we was going about motivation, then it really and inspiration. It's like yawning in a way. Like that's what you think of, like yawning. Like when you yawn, it makes someone else yawn, and then
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
again and again.
It can also
Like
be
It just
analogous to resonance in physics. I know Jake knows it very well more than me. Resonance in physics, wherein yeah, you have two amplitudes and you resonate, and then it goes bigger, bigger, bigger.
yeah.
yeah, exactly,
I totally
definitely.
agree.
Wow,
We're getting a bit
wow.
nerdy here.
All the information is
But what about you, Vincent? What do you have any questions for Kieran? What do you think?
honestly, I'm just here to learn from Kiran. I'm not gonna lie because
Oh no.
I didn't I didn't want to write any questions because I just wanted to kind of because Jake yeah, exactly, because Jake wanted to I don't know, Jake just told me that you were a really interesting person and I didn't know why, but at the same time I wanted to use this podcast to kind of understand the reason why Jake would speak so highly of you. And I'm kind of beginning
Can
to
you
look
understand why from this call? Like,
yeah, because if someone has a reputation, I don't know, I just find it really interesting to see someone I don't know, because you could speak well about someone, but understanding the reasons why they leave such a positive impact can help. I don't know, it helps me understand people better and how to be a positive influence, understanding people who are already a positive influence.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
yes.
And I think it's like I think everybody can take a piece of that, and then the more positive people you surround yourself with, kind of just builds like a house. It's like every single positive influence around you gives you a brick, and
Yes.
then every other positive influence gives you another brick until you come up with like a big house of huge positivity that just spreads like and gives your bricks to
Yeah.
other people. That makes sense,
Yeah, I can
you
add
know?
on to that analogy. You start getting bricks from all over the place. I mean, all around you. You
Yeah.
build a house, and then the house is for people to come in and live. So
Oh
Exactly.
yeah, and
And then
enjoy and feel safe and
your house
positive.
can become a factory to make bricks, and then you pass out the bricks to inspire other people.
yeah,
You know,
that's
it's
so true.
crazy.
That's so true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is probably the weirdest analogy, but I like
No,
it.
it makes sense. It makes sense.
It
It
does
makes
make sense when you think about it, yeah. Because it's like our positivity is just as in if one person, say Jake, can inspire what two people, me and you, Kiran, then me and Kiran can inspire 2 more people, and those people can inspire as many
Yep.
people as they want.
Yes, you're right.
Positive. Sorry, did I go off then, or is it okay?
Only for like 2 seconds. Keep going, bro. You got this.
Right. Yeah. The more positive, like, influence in the world, the better, because it just keeps on going. Like, if you can provide positivity, then you might not realize, but it becomes like, it kind of, it's almost like a cog in a huge chain, and then the more cogs we have working, the closer we get to making a society more positive and more enjoying of life and more celebrating and appreciative of everything we do have in the short time we're alive, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, way beyond anything like materialism, nothing like that, just purely from like goodwill and intentions and experiences, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like having a mindset to just do good makes all the difference, you know? To just be willing to
Yeah.
help. I've lost
Yeah,
the
yeah. I mean,
words, but
I could reiterate what Vincent says here, because it's not really necessary or most important to do the good. The most important part is to have the mindset and the will to do good.
yeah, exactly.
The intention, yeah.
And the rest will just come naturally.
Yeah, that
Just
would
follow.
come naturally. It's not about decision making after that. It just happens naturally with the flow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I just think it's
Oh, it went on mute. Go on, Jake. Go.
somebody keep calling me again and again, so it's putting me on mute. But maybe can we just pause for a minute? I'll take this call and we'll call back. Is that okay?
No, why not?
Stop the recording because I took that call.
Yeah, I did for a second. I didn't realize that it would turn out this cool, but you know what?
It's totally good.
We'll go with the flow.
Put the video back on right now. On record right now.
I just put this guy's a gold mine. We need to keep gold digging.
Oh my god.
We need to keep gold digging, okay?
Do you want me to say it again, Vincent, or is it?
You can actually. Why not? Why not?
Yeah, I was just telling that. I mean, the reason why I started was because you were telling me that you are in a space wherein you're taking a decision to move on to university.
Yeah.
And I'd like to say that, I mean, a lot of people in this world think that education is not important. I'd like to argue with all of them, saying that education is very, very important, and it's also something that people should feel lucky
Yeah.
to have. If you have education, if you have a chance to study in the university, if you have a chance to just sit in a classroom, you should feel lucky and privileged to be there.
Yeah, because
Not many people give that, not many people get that, and the reason why people have to feel lucky is that education expands your mindsets.
yeah,
Education gives you a platform to talk to people from all over the world, from different cultures, backgrounds, diversities. I mean, diversity is endless in a classroom.
yeah,
Backgrounds, families, ethnicities, cultures, so many different things you find inside one classroom. So I feel that's a platform wherein you can broaden your mind, change your mind into a more open-minded, open-minded style.
yeah,
And
for sure.
it's something that not many people experience in life, because I've seen a lot of people quitting education and going on to do something they love.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that only if you get an education, you do what you love much better than the way you do.
Yeah, because you would have learned so much more. You would have experienced so many,
Absolutely.
much more different culture.
Yeah, because I just want that thought to never come in your mind that wherein if you enter university, you start thinking that why am I here? Why am I studying when I should be traveling, when I should be doing something that I love? You should never get
I really struggle with that.
Yeah, you should never get into that mindset. That would be the last thing you should be doing, because university education is something only 2% of people in this world have. I'm not sure if that's the right stat, but I think 2% of people have a master's. I'm not sure. So something that, I mean, when you're part of that narrow community and you have a privilege of being in a classroom, you should never take it for granted.
Because it's such a
I think,
all knowledge is good. Go on, Jake. Go on, Jake.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think that would be in regards to like the culture and identity. I think that would be really, really big in India, to be honest, with all the different cultures of all the different regions. Because how many regions do you have? Like, I think it's like, I don't know. Is it? I think maybe 23 or something. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
We
it's a
have
lot more. But
29 states.
29.
29 states.
Yeah, and we have
And
around, I
languages.
think 25 plus official languages. It's just official, and I think it goes on to more than 200 unofficial languages.
Oh, an official language.
Crazy.
Yeah,
That
unofficial
is,
languages in the sense, people from hilly regions who are tribes,
yeah.
who haven't been registered to the national index. So those people have their own languages within their own
Oh,
communities. So those kind of languages are
Wow.
unofficial, and they go over 200. So
that's
Well, do
mad.
you mind if I go back to some of your uh youth, shall we say, back to like when you was in India? Like, how was that?
can you repeat the question, Jake? I think I missed a word.
Yeah, I'm rather curious about your youth in India. How was that? How was growing up in India, and how did you find the change to like the Canadian lifestyle?
Yep. So as I think this topic goes back to traveling, because as a youth, I never used to travel. I never used to travel because I lived in a very, very conservative family wherein we used to spend money only for education. Education was the
Really?
priority, more so because my parents were both professors.
Oh,
Uh, so
Oh,
they were both
okay.
professors in economics. They were both PhD holders, and they had education as priority.
yeah.
Wherein, even if you go broke, even if you're dying, if I had to get a book, they'd probably do it, even if they're on the deathbed.
It was
If I had to
that
get a book,
important to them. It was
yeah,
just,
that is that important to them. And I lived in
Wow.
such a family wherein I was pretty well focused on educating myself and also maintaining a good decorum and having a good lifestyle with positive people around me and people who could guide me in the right path.
yeah.
But I was not privileged enough to travel, I'd say. I didn't have a chance to explore cities or even regions around my own province. So it's kind of, I wouldn't say that was the downside because I got more time to find what I was interested in studies. So I'd not say that was a downside because it helped me where I am right now. Because if I didn't do my undergrad or my high school properly, I wouldn't have got a seat in Canada. As an international student, it's pretty hard to get a seat in Canada.
Oh,
So
okay.
uh, I feel I
Oh.
just wanted to thank my parents for that.
Oh, so it was just kind of like, uh, so education was kind of like to get you to the next step, to
Yeah,
like get
exactly.
you that
Yeah,
opportunity.
yeah. I don't know if that's the Indian mindset, but education is the pathway to stability and peace in life, according to myself and my community or my I wouldn't say country because I'm not sure. I've not explored much of other parts, but I'd say it's more of an Indian thing that
Mm,
education is everything.
yeah. How do you
I,
think?
I think that like
Go on, Jake.
sorry, go on.
Oh, I was like,
No, it's fine.
how do you think that? What do you think about the mindset here? Because here, a lot of people don't. I don't think people value education as much as what you've just
In the
said.
like Western world.
Yeah, in the Western world, because there's you see memes all the time like can't wait for Friday, can yeah, as in like I just feel like there's a culture of kind of what is it? So back when I was in high school, there was kind of a culture of kind of like the cool kids didn't really like school, you know. Um, that was just in my school. I don't know about other schools, but in my school, the cool kids didn't really like school. Um, so I don't know, just like what are your thoughts on that kind of thing? Because it's so different from what you've just described.
Yeah. After moving to Canada, I've realized that I'd like to say the same thing about Western culture as well. I got to realize that people don't value as much as what Indians do. So the thing that I got to say about that is that they might be doing something right, because the reason why they don't value education a lot, according to me, is that they assume that education becomes a hurdle when you have to live the moment. So that's the reason I feel that education is kind of set aside, and it's more of living in the moment, doing things that you can when you're healthy and hale,
Mm.
and less of concentrating and putting your energy towards a few books and listening to lectures. So I think that's the mindset here. And the thing that I want to argue with this mindset is that okay, living the moment is fine, but how long will you be living this moment? You keep going, you finish high school, and then once you finish high school, in order to get into your undergrad or your masters, you need something solid to show in order to get into a good school or in a good university in a good country. The most important part is the good country, the good region where you want to be in.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter which course you're doing or which university you're studying, but the place you live is the most important.
yeah, that's true.
In order to go to the place you want to be, you could be in any place in this world, but to go to the place you want to be in the targeted region, you got to show something that you did previously. And that
You
something
need
wouldn't be,
evidence.
yeah, that something wouldn't be you lived in the moment or you enjoyed life, things like that. It's got to be something you accomplished as a student.
That's true.
So, I mean, this is for people who want to move to different countries.
Yeah,
Not sure if that applies to people who want to stay in the same home or even not do their undergrad or the masters. So it varies. It's kind of a grayish area, but that's my view. My view is that education is important. You could never ignore that in life. You shouldn't ignore that, because it leads you to pathways that make your life better in every way. Not just
mm,
mental health, but an opportunity to do good to people. Education creates that.
yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
I know, right, Jake? Just let it sink in. Just let it
You just always make me just, I don't know, I feel like I'm listening to one of the best philosophers on earth.
Oh my God. Alan Watts Part 2.
sink in.
Exactly, Alan
He
Watts.
knows.
You know,
I don't even know who that is, but you guys,
you
I
need
need
to
to
check him out.
let me write it down.
Philosopher.
Alan Watts.
Alan Watts. Yeah.
Why is he
I'll
so
send you.
cool? Alan Watts.
He just like plays with the nerve endings of your brain.
Yep.
I don't know how else to describe it.
That's so true. That's so true. He does that. He does that. He does much more than that. Yeah.
Oh, so he makes you think about things in such a different way, and it gets you on like a whole kind of
But
Yep.
tangent.
even the way he describes things, sometimes it's almost difficult to comprehend and understand. But like,
It makes sense.
there's just a yeah, it's so strange, but it's amazing. He's like, he must be, in my opinion, one of like the best philosophers ever to have lived. I think.
Oh.
Yep.
So
I
he's
haven't gone deeper into Alan Watts, but I've seen a few quotes here and there, and I know that he is a great person. And especially after Jake mentioned him, yeah, I know he is great.
he's one
Yeah.
of the big
Yeah.
ones.
Yeah. He's the cream.
He's a mind blower. He's
That's your only competition, Kieran. Alan Watts is your only competition.
he's become the king.
Just humbled to hear that.
One day you'll get to the very top. But
We'll remember this conversation.
Don't forget to say
but
it.
yeah, I mean, like, and one more thing I'm curious about. Um, I don't. I think sometimes it can be a little bit taboo, but I'm curious about if you don't mind mentioning your like religion side of things.
Yeah,
Is do you mind if I go into that?
absolutely. Feel free. This is your podcast, your questions. I've already mentioned that I'm open to any question, open to
Yeah, I
explaining.
just don't want to make you feel uncomfortable. You
Oh
know,
no, not at
like if
all. You could go into any topic whatsoever if it helps people around us. So
Mm.
why not?
See, I love that
yeah.
mindset.
So
Love it. Carry on.
tell us a little bit about about that, like your religion and how maybe your perception and mindset has changed through time.
Yeah. So, I mean, before we get into this topic, I'd like to say, like, I'm sure there are no. I mean, if there is a time limit, I'm okay with any time. It's all about you. So, whenever you want to cut down on speeches, just feel free to go ahead and say that we're running out of time. But I'm actually totally free. I can go on and on. It's just about you. It's your podcast, your session. You can cut me down whenever you want to.
No, you're the last person of the time, so we can go on forever on
Okay.
our end.
Yeah, let's go into the question, back to religion and what I think about religion, how it has changed over the time. So, I'm basically by birth a Hindu. Hinduism, the the most prevalent religion in India. Hinduism, one of the most diverse, having multiple gods, and people who are extremely religious most likely fall into Hinduism, according to my experience. So,
Do you mind if I just ask something really quick? Is it
yeah,
like
yeah, sure,
is
sure.
there 330 million gods or something like this?
Uh,
Something really high.
I'm not sure, Jake. I'm not sure. That looks a bit high, but then I'm not sure
Let's have a look.
because the thing about Hinduism is that it varies according to region.
Mm.
That's the special thing about
Right.
Hinduism. Hinduism is so much related to regions and people and ethnicities and languages that people have found different ways to modify the same religion.
Oh.
So if you go to
Mm.
South India, you'll see one form of Hinduism. If you go to North India, you'll see one. East and West gives you different types of Hinduism.
Yeah.
So, like flavors, I'd say. I mean, flavors is such a short, small term to explain that, but I'd say it's just different flavors of Hinduism you see all around India.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I mean, I've just tried to look, and it says 33 million gods, which is still quite a lot. Um,
yeah.
I mean,
Uh,
and yeah, like you were saying, I think it's even the same as like festivals. I think, for example, in the south of India, is it called Bungal?
yep.
Bungal?
Yeah. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, I've even mentioned that earlier to you. Yeah. I'm not sure if I remember.
Yeah, I think we had a conversation a while back. But
Yep.
then, for example, in like, is it called? Is it Rajasthan, the place in like
Yep.
more northern India?
Yep.
That's like, I think Holi is celebrated a lot more in the north, and it's,
Yeah, Holi is celebrated more in the north and central India.
yeah, I think that's really interesting how they like sort of dynamic and distribution changes across the country, even though it's the same religion. I think it's really interesting.
Very, very interesting. That is why Hinduism and India attracts a lot of researchers. Researchers who
Yeah,
travel
Researchers.
all the way from the West, who reside in India, who learn about cultures and write papers on that. So it's such a nice topic to research. Hinduism is so deep into the culture and mindset of Indians. It's very hard to let that go when you travel to India. It's very hard to look
but
over Hinduism.
speaking about traveling to India,
Yep.
um, I think some point later next year,
Sure.
I'm going to be taking a pretty big trip to India. Put it that way. So
I'm so excited. I'm so
I'll,
glad to hear that.
I'll require maybe some of your expertise to
Yeah, absolutely. I
start
can
out
give
with.
you tricks and tips. I mean, for anyone who comes from out of India, I have a few tips in mind. I can give that to you. Should be nice.
But for sure, definitely, we need to meet at some point in real life rather than,
Yeah.
because obviously you're in Canada, and I've got so many international friends in Canada now, so I need to take the trip and just meet up them all and just
Why
have
not?
an amazing time.
Just rent an RV and just go tripping. Just get a.
Exactly. That's the funny thing. That's already crossed like the mind. I've had some conversations. A few people have said that. Maybe it's the Canadian mindset, but I mean,
Yeah. There's also,
but I mean,
the reason why I told RV is, yeah, it's kind of a reveal. I'm also planning to go back to Banff very soon. Maybe it's on the cards.
Mm.
The plan is to travel from Ontario, the place that I'm right now living in. The place that I'm living in right now is called Waterloo. Waterloo is
What?
part of the province called Ontario. And
right.
Ontario to Banff, which is in Alberta, takes 48 hours by road without breaks.
48
Uh,
Really?
hours.
Yeah,
It's
48
crazy how big Canada is, because that's only like crossing like a bit across the country, but it keeps on going for more and more and more and more and more. Like,
Yeah, Canada has 8 different time zones, so imagine the cost.
That's crazy. Because
you make the UK feel tiny, just one little time zone.
that's crazy. Because
Yeah.
I only know England, and so from Manchester to London, that's only 4 hours.
Yeah.
That's the full country, pretty much.
That's nearly the full country. And then from Scotland to London, that's like 6 or 7 hours. And so 48 hours
Yeah, 48 without breaks.
blows my mind.
Kiran, when are you planning to take this trip?
I mean, the plan was to do it before the international travel starts, because that will give me more opportunities to, get landscapes without too many people.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because Bow Lake with a lot of people and Jasper with a lot of crowd is not really the best place to be in, unless and until you be in some very secluded spot. Because Banff is the most visited national park in North America.
Oh,
Banff is
Wow.
crowded, especially during the summer. And I feel
Yeah,
that
yeah.
COVID has given an opportunity for travelers to visit places that are not crowded during those usual times. So,
Well, I mean,
that's
one day we'd need to go on a road trip like that,
absolutely,
and
I'm totally down for that.
with a group of strangers who don't know each other. So I
Yep,
think it would be so
yep.
spontaneous and amazing, you know?
Absolutely down for that any day. Just give me a heads up well in advance so that I can put aside all those duties and let's go on the trip for sure. I'm down.
that sounds crazy.
Yeah. Well, like I say, we'll definitely we'll have to arrange something like that, because I'm 1 billion% down for something like that. It's been a dream for so long.
Yeah. So
Like,
the trip, so the trip was on the cards, uh, anywhere between June, July, August, because I believe the
yeah,
international air travel starts sometime around July and August. That's what I'm expecting, at least in
right.
Canada. Airspace, not airspace, but international arrivals begin maybe in July. So
Okay.
sometime before that would be the target. And the plan is to drive all the way, because the last time I flew till Calgary, which is another city in Alberta, and I drove from Calgary to Banff, which is 3 hours from Calgary. So that
I
was.
think it'd be really interesting seeing like the landscape change as well,
Oh
you
yes,
know?
Oh,
absolutely. Because Canada has almost I don't know the different I don't know the number, but it has so many different landscapes that you feel like you're moving from country to country when you move from province to province.
yeah. And
Wow,
you
yeah, I
kind
bet.
of are as well, because it's the size of some countries.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Also known
It's
that
like because
it's also known as this two provinces called Saskatchewan and Manitoba. These two
mm,
provinces are very famous for the prairies. So, prairie grasslands in Saskatchewan and Manitoba are definitely something to experience. They give you the best sunsets. They give you the best plain areas to shoot, wherein you have just one house in the middle of hectares of land. You can just see land
wow.
all over that house, all around the house, and it just got this beautiful shot wherein you have a house and the sunset right above it. So I've seen people taking shots like there's a house and there's the sun right on top of that cone. So
Wow.
uh,
You
it's
must feel so free in that experience.
oh yes,
Like
it's surreal.
the
It's
freedom.
totally surreal. So
That's
yeah,
But yeah, I'm thinking we need to take a road trip like that from from like your area right the way through to Banff, and right through Banff and Calgary and right past and up into like Yellowknife and then up into like the
oh,
Yukon and
yeah. Yellowknife, Yukon, definitely places to go for the Northern Lights.
Northern
exactly, yeah.
Lights.
Yep,
Whoa.
yep.
Oh, it's
Canada's
Canada.
probably the best place for the Northern Lights in
It's
the
in the
world.
northern Arctic Circle. Oh, I've
Yeah.
heard. Have you seen them before, Kiran?
No. Never, ever seen Northern Lights. Definitely
You
on my
need
bucket
to.
list. The day I get to see
You,
Northern Lights, I'll probably cry the most. I'll cry, I'll weep, I'll just sit in that moment and just thank God for that.
it's,
And
they're
Thank
so
God.
magical. Like I've seen them 3 times now, twice in Iceland, twice, no, actually 3 or 4 times. I can't remember, to be honest, but
You're so lucky, man.
um,
You're lucky.
definitely. But I mean, like up in northern Norway, that was probably the best place. And it was surreal because one time seeing them, I was actually flying on a plane, and I looked out the window and I was like, oh my god, there's Northern Lights. Like, so shocked
Oh
because
my gosh.
it's crazy. Like, it's mad, and I mean, they're magical. They make you question everything. And that's another thing. I think like the universe and space is so powerful and just interesting.
Did you even plan for that, or did it just happen by chance? I mean, all your experiences with Northern Lights.
Yeah, they just happened by like chance, pretty much. Especially that one on the plane. Like, it was, and obviously because it's something a lot of people do go to Norway to see. The captain of the plane was like, we'll dim the lights of the aircraft so you can see the Northern Lights. So they turned the
Whoa.
lights off completely,
Whoa.
and the Northern Lights are just like illuminating the plane. It was just so weird but amazing.
That's
I'm mind
crazy.
blown.
Wait, you were flying in the Northern Light. I'm confused. Like,
Not in the Northern Lights, not on the edge of space, but I mean, but it felt like it. You think about it, like sometimes. Well, this comes. You probably don't realize as much, but
Yeah.
obviously because I'm trained to fly planes as well. When you're flying, it can be really disorientating, especially when you're in clouds or flying at
Yeah.
night. And I mean, it was obviously at night to see the Northern Lights,
Yeah.
and you just had no visual reference of anything because you're flying in Norway above like the mountains where there's pretty much nothing,
Yeah.
barely any lights, and
So
I'm
all
guessing
you
there's
could
cloud
s-
cover on the floor.
so all you
All
could
you could
see.
just see green, and like it was also purple. It was like a greeny purple, and it just sort of illuminates out of the window, and it looks like if you just look directly on the horizon, it looks like the Northern Lights are from the horizon all the way up, and then like it goes in the plane. It's just crazy.
Kiran's face right now.
Like,
Mine and Kiran's face right now.
Hey,
Just
yeah, it
just,
feels
oh
like
my
you're
god.
in
it feels
awe.
like you're on a SpaceX rocket ship going to like the Mars or something.
Yeah, something else. I mean, it all
Really.
comes down to, the fact that you told me that you'd never planned for these Northern Lights visits. You never planned and it just happened. That's what you said, right, Jake? It just
Yeah,
happened.
exactly. Like, I mean, obviously, it had some thought in my mind that maybe I will see them, but it wasn't like the complete intention to go. It was just more to see the place in Norway and things. And then when something does happen like that, you feel so like privileged, but you feel
Yeah.
just
It,
it makes you. It's like one of the things when you see a beautiful sunset, you just feel so like privileged to have experienced that.
yeah.
But then it feels surreal in a way, you know,
Yeah.
because like all of a sudden that's it, like they're gone because you're descending into the clouds to land, and it's like, did that just happen? Like, it feels like you're dreaming in a way from what I remember.
Yeah, fun
Yeah.
fact. I like to do this fun fact, right? Cut it down. I mean, just cutting through your speech. My next shot would be a sunset. I was just
Mm.
editing that a while back. I can just show it after this podcast. Maybe a little. Can I just share the screen after some time? Maybe after our recording, I
Yeah.
can just show the sunset.
You can share
We'll
it
put the
now.
picture in the
You can put
we'll
it
put
now.
the picture in the we'll put the picture in the video if you like, and then
Yeah.
obviously
Oh, yeah.
put your Instagram or anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if I can share the screen right now. Will I be able to do that?
Yeah, you can. There's a option called share screen, and then you just
Yeah. Let me just.
yeah. I would find it first and then share screen,
It
just in
says
case.
that host disabled
Yeah.
share screen.
Sorry.
It says that the host disabled participant share
Oh,
screening.
just a
So
sec.
I think there's some.
Multiple partition. There we go. I've changed it.
Wow.
Right, that is actually whoa.
Wow.
What?
Like that's what I mean. Like that was what the Northern Lights were like. That experience where it just feels surreal.
Yeah, those. I mean, those totally unexpected. Similar to your case, it just happened to be such a beautiful sunset. It's a place called Point Clark in Ontario. It's like 2 hour. I mean, it's 1.5 hours from my place.
Yeah.
And that's like a lake.
It's lake. Yeah, it's Lake Huron. It's Lake Huron.
Oh, it's like it looks like the sea.
Yeah, it's a lake. It's a lake. Canadian lakes are weird because they give you waves. They make you feel like they are seas.
Yeah,
That's
Canada's lakes are probably bigger than the full UK. I'm guessing some of the lakes.
that could
Yeah,
be true. That is.
I guess it is
Wow.
a
When are you posting that photo?
I'll be posting it mostly this week sometime, maybe in 2 or 3 days, because I just made the last post a day ago, so I just want that to gain some traction before I go on to the next.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Ah, yeah,
Because
interesting.
you need time for I don't know, for
People,
people to fully appreciate each
absolutely,
post.
because some people go to the go directly to the latest one, so in that case, we miss out on something that was done previously, right? So.
Hmm, that's true.
Yeah, so this is my the next post, and yeah, that's a little reveal on what I'm going to post.
That's
It's
I've
good. It is really good.
I've
Wow.
never seen anything like that in real life.
It's just
Um,
beautiful. It's just Canada for you.
It looks like a halo, like over the ocean.
Yeah,
You know, like a halo from like
yeah,
the church, like the
yeah, it
yeah.
does. Yeah,
oh,
it looks like just
It's just
and or like a cocktail with all the
just
colours.
pure power. It's
yeah,
like
it's just the sun is below the horizon. It's just the flare here. I don't know. I think you call it the corona. I'm not sure if that's the corona, but yeah. So that's the first layer of
Oh
flare, and then this is the dispersion that goes over.
yeah, it really looks like like a cocktail, like a tequila sunrise, for
Oh
example.
yes. Oh yes. Yeah. Oh yes.
actually, yeah, those are like the colors of like a dreamy cocktail advertisement, you know?
I love the clouds here as well. It's beautiful here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
I've never seen purple in a sunset, you know? Ever. Ever.
Welcome to Canada. You're always welcome, Vincent.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely on my way soon enough.
Trust me. Man.
Which city do you live in as well, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat? Can I start? Can I change it back to my face?
Oh yeah, go
Uh,
for it. Um uh
Yeah. Cool.
oh
Uh,
there we
oh,
go.
there we go.
yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So,
Yes.
which city do you live in Canada?
Which state?
Which like city?
City.
City. Yeah. So I live in this city. It's more of a town, I'd say. It's not a city. I live in this city. I
Um,
mean, I live in this town called Waterloo. Waterloo. You've
Waterloo.
heard of the Battle of Waterloo and stuff like that, right?
Oh,
So,
I've never watched it.
I'm
uh,
just referring to the name Waterloo. It doesn't have any relation to the Battle of Waterloo, though. So
Oh.
yeah, so Waterloo
oh,
is
really?
yeah. It has no relation to the Battle of Waterloo. I don't know how the name came in, but the battle didn't happen here for sure.
Yeah. The reason I'm just asking that is because eventually, when I do come to Canada, I'll try and find cheap flights to to nearby. But like,
For
what's
sure,
your biggest city nearby?
for sure. Waterloo is in Ontario. It is 1.5 hours from Toronto.
Oh, really? Because
Yes.
that's really interesting. I've got another friend who lives about an hour and a half away from Toronto, which
Do
is
you know
really interesting. I don't know exactly where she lives, but it's like on the west side. So like the bit which goes towards
Okay, so I'm in the
the
west
state.
as well, and I'm 1.5 hours away from Toronto.
Really?
Yeah.
I'll have to ask her where she lives because I'm not sure if it's like the same
uh,
sort of place.
might be just on a different side, maybe up or down, maybe. I don't know. I'd be extremely flabbergasted if the person was in Waterloo, because that would be the biggest coincidence ever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Literally, just
Since it's such
it's
a
a
huge
that's
country as
either
well.
way
yeah.
that's a sign either way for me to come to Canada.
That's mind
Definitely
blowing to know.
that you both
Yeah.
that you both live in like the Toronto. Imagine if you knew the person.
Oh
That
yeah.
would just be ridiculous.
It's just keeps me going crazy. I don't know. Like the world is so small.
Yeah. Trust me, people
I
know
know.
other
I'll ask after, and
I think it's really interesting how when I don't know, just how you meet someone randomly and you find out that everyone's connected. in a
Yeah,
weird
yeah,
way. And
got you.
like, yeah, and it was so weird because like I went to college um intentionally not knowing anyone, and I went there and there were people from my primary school there, and there were
Uh-huh.
people from um yeah, just it was so crazy to see like just just as in just by living life and like kind of I don't know, I just find it really cool that everyone's connected and that I saw this thing where it was like there were like like after like how you have a friendship circle and how that's connected to another
Yes.
friendship circle.
Yeah, the peer community.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, as in if I found out that if you do 7 friendship circles, you include the entire world,
Oh,
which is
whoa.
crazy to me.
That's nice.
Wow, it is.
It's
Isn't it like
crazy.
it's like that thing in it where like you're so many connections away from like anybody on earth. I don't know what it is, but it's crazy.
Yeah.
But
Because it's
yeah, I mean, I
everyone's
I think I think with that we should wrap up because obviously we've been recording for quite a while.
Uh-huh.
But 1,000,000%, Kieran, we're doing an episode 2.
Oh wow, that's
episode
exciting.
episode 2, 3, 4, 5,
Oh,
72. We're
oh
doing
my
a mini
God.
series.
Super
Season Kieran.
looks like
Season
we're going
Kieran.
to. I'm sorry, Jake. I didn't hear you.
I said season Kieran.
Yeah. I think we're going into Joe Rogan levels.
This is
Exactly the best.
the Joe Brogans, okay? We're in this together. In this together. We can dethrone him.
Yeah. We got a bunch of Joe Rogans from UK here.
Yeah. And a Canadian.
The JVNK show.
Yeah. It was a nice experience talking to you guys. Amazing conversation. Super privileged.
Definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Likewise, I think you're so interesting, and I think like, a lot of people will find inspiration from that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I hope so. I'll be privileged if people actually take something good from what I've told. It'll be.
Together we can conquer
Oh yes.
and help people.
Oh yes.
Jake
And
knows. Jake knows.
it's just an honor to to spread something that you follow. If people find good in what you follow and what you've been following throughout your life, that makes you feel better. That makes you do good things. That makes you do more good in your life. So
Yeah.
that is
Definitely.
what I want to say at the end of this meeting. Because as long as you live, if you're doing something good, why not share it to others? If you have some good thoughts, share it. If it brings positivity to people's minds, share it. If you think that something makes the world better, share it for sure.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah, because why wouldn't you share it if it's gonna do good in the world? Like, why
Yeah.
would you not?
Why
Why
not?
would you hold yourself back?
Yeah, why not? And the most important thing is to expect no returns. Do not do
Yeah.
something uh, that do not do something in order to get something back from it. Always do something with a mindset that you've already done something great by just sharing it.
Mm,
You've already got what you needed when you share it.
yeah.
So
By helping.
yeah, you just stop there. You just stop there. That's it. Do not expect the returns, uh, the gifts or the rewards you get for what you did.
Yeah.
Gifts, rewards come automatically. It comes when people have the time and patience and a good heart to give.
Yeah.
So that would come automatically. What you got to do is share what you want to and just stop, because you've achieved what you wanted to do, and that's it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. I feel like that's what you said before. Because Jake said something similar about he doesn't care if this podcast um it isn't successful. He's willing to like just keep this podcast going for
Yeah,
he said literal years to just keep on going, and he doesn't care if it's successful or not. He's just gonna keep it consistent, keep on putting out the content.
absolutely. Consistency is key here. I mean, this is just a
Exactly.
advice,
Very deep.
little advice and suggestion to you guys, because it's just an amazing initiative by you both. The most important part here is consistency. The next most important part is not expecting returns.
Yeah.
Because we three people know that what we're doing is good. We three people know that when people hear what we're talking, it gives them positivity, and we know for sure what we're doing is right. So why not just keep going in that same path? That's all it is.
Exactly.
That
Exactly.
is, yeah.
Yep.
It's powerful. That's what it is. And on that, all I can say is thank you, Kiran, for willing to be a part of this. And
no problem. It's an honor to be to talk with you and Vincent, and it's been a great experience meeting Vincent today. So I'll speak peacefully.
Yeah.